You mentioned the head teacher, his experience of going on that training camp during that period, 1914 onwards. Did you notice any artifacts? Is that something that you can recall? Seen anything? Statues, buildings, anything that would actually commemorate that war?
No, I think because I didn't know anyone at all in the area. I was brought up in the country. Who went to the Second World War. There's no sort of personal knowledge that I gleaned from anybody who went there. I'm sure there must have been people from the Alice Valley where I grew up who went to the Second World War, but no, didn't. No, I couldn't really think. Second World War, that's an entirely different thing.
Is it something that interests you? What happened during World War One? Is that something that interests you at all?
Yes. World War One, had to teach it anyway. So, so I had a sort of book knowledge of what happened, but not like the Second World War, where I asked my friend James Fairweather to come into school and would talk about the Second World War, but I couldn't do that to the First World War because by that time they were doing others. There weren't many of them around.
I'd like to ask your friend James to come and join us, but before that, I just want to ask you one final thing about that thing about teaching history. How did you feel when you were teaching history and you had to talk about World War One? Was there any mention of the West Indian contribution to that World War?
Well, I did. I brought that in, that there was West Indian contingent. And one of the things that probably should let me say, retract and say that there might, in the wider, we rarely use the word village in Jamaica. We say district. And the wider district, there are obviously people who served in the First World War because the hilly country, we are right under the Blue Mountains, the highest mountain range in Jamaica. And land were given to people who served in the First World War. And that area was known as contingent. So that is evidence that people from that area, I don't know if in the other parts of Jamaica, if they used this, if land were given, and if the people call it contingent or some other different names, but certainly there was contingent, and I didn't think of it since the novel that I've just finished now had something to do with that era. I did mention that in it, so that, but personally, I can't really think of anyone or a family who went there. But unlike, say, the Second World War, where from the district in which I grew up, I could name at least three men who fought in the Second World War.
But how did you feel about the quality of teaching material to do with World War One? Because I've been to the Imperial War Museum, and there's not a great deal of information.
No,
that's visible.
there wasn't.
Yeah.
And I was teaching at Tulsa at the time when the head of history and another teacher who was teaching history, but he was also a head of house, so they went to the Imperial War Museum. We're talking about the end of the 70s, and asked if they had any pictures or any connection with West Indians who took part in the First World War, since the Imperial War Museum. Very irate, I said, no, we haven't. And someone said, I'm sorry, but there is a box in the basement with some pictures. And Chris, not the head of here, he was the head of house, said, tall and blonde, but powerfully built. He said, well, go and get it. and the young man went. And, we had this, I was particularly pleased to see that years later, one of the boys who took history had written a book about West Indian women in the war. And I had a great pleasure of sitting down in the Imperial War Museum and seeing my former student up there talking and introducing his books and so on. So, but at Tulsa we wrote our booklets. Most of the books that they were producing at the time really they certainly didn't mention blacks or anything like that. So, some of the black students just sit there and think, well, this is just another European war, why should I pay any attention or something like that?
Okay.